Sometimes the most powerful lessons come from facing the hardest truths. This book invites you to confront the realities of life that many avoid, the struggles, failures, and uncomfortable emotions that shape who you are. While these truths may seem difficult or even painful, embracing them is actually the key to true freedom. When you accept life as it is, with all its imperfections, you unlock the power to live boldly, love deeply, and focus on what truly matters. This book will inspire you to stop chasing empty happiness and start living a life full of purpose, courage, and meaning. Chapter 1. Don't Try. Let me start with a story. Not one about a hero, not one about a genius or a billionaire who hacked success. No. This story is about a man named Charles Bukowski. He was, by most traditional standards, a complete failure, a drunk, a degenerate, a man who floated between dead-end jobs, who lived in rundown apartments, who spent more time chasing women and fighting off hangovers than chasing dreams. He was not a role model. He was not driven. He was not disciplined. And yet, he became a writer, one of the most celebrated, raw, and real voices of his time. You'd expect that someone like Bukowski must have had some moment of clarity, a turning point, a day when he decided to try harder, be better, fix his life. But no, that day never came. He didn't change. He didn't become a different man. He stayed the same flawed, angry, messy human being he always was. And yet his words caught fire. People listened. They felt what he wrote. And long after he was gone, people continued to read him. Now here's the punchline. Carved into his tombstone are two simple words: don't try. I remember the first time I saw those words. I laughed. It seemed ridiculous. How can don't try be a message to live by? Isn't that exactly the opposite of what every motivational speaker, teacher, and self-help book tells us? We're taught that effort is everything. Try harder, be more, hustle 24/7. But Bukowski's life and his message tells a different story. He wasn't saying don't care or don't do anything. What he was saying is this: stop trying to be something you're not. Stop forcing things. Stop pretending. Just be. See, the moment you try too hard to be happy, you reinforce the idea that you're not happy now. When you obsessively chase success, you're admitting to yourself that you're currently a failure. The more you strive to be confident, the more you remind yourself that you aren't. Trying becomes a form of resistance. It's like screaming at the universe, "I'm not enough," over and over again. And eventually, the more you try, the worse you feel. This isn't just philosophical fluff, it's the emotional trap that modern life sets for you. Every ad you see, every influencer you follow, every productivity hack you come across is whispering the same poisonous message: you're not okay as you are. You need to do more. Be more. Fix yourself. And so you keep chasing new goals, new diets, new apps, new identities, hoping that maybe this time you'll finally feel good enough. But what if the secret isn't in chasing more, but in letting go? What if the solution isn't found in effort, but in acceptance? What if you stopped trying so damn hard to be extraordinary and just started being okay with being human? This is what I mean by not giving a fuck. It's not about apathy or laziness. It's about clarity. It's about choosing what truly matters to you and letting the rest fall away. It's about realizing that life isn't about finding magical answers. It's about being brutally honest with yourself about your limitations, your values, and your pain, and then working with those things instead of fighting them. Bukowski didn't write to be famous. He didn't write to change the world. He wrote because he needed to write. It was part of who he was. It wasn't forced. It wasn't polished, but it was real. And that realness connected with people in a way that perfect could never do. So, no, I'm not here to teach you how to try harder. I'm here to teach you how to try less, how to stop chasing things that don't matter, how to start living in alignment with what does. The road to a better life isn't paved with more effort. It's paved with better values, better priorities, and a willingness to let go of the need to be anything other than who you already are. Because once you stop trying so hard to be something, you make room to actually become something meaningful. And that's when everything begins to change. Chapter 2. Happiness is a problem. Let's get one thing straight. You've been lied to. Ever since you were a child, you've been bombarded with the same message over and over again, that happiness is the ultimate goal. The television commercials showed it to you with shiny cars and perfect smiles. The Instagram influencers promised it with exotic vacations and flawless skin. The self-help books whispered it in your ear with step-by-step guides to a better, more fulfilling life. And you believed it. Of course you did. We all did. Because it's comforting. It's neat. It gives us something to chase. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. Happiness is not something you achieve. Happiness is a constant problem. Now that might sound depressing. You might think I'm just being a contrarian trying to flip your world upside down for the sake of sounding edgy. But stay with me. I'm not saying happiness is impossible or meaningless. What I'm saying is that happiness, by its very nature, is a struggle. It's not something you magically acquire after checking off a list of life achievements. It's not the end of the journey, it is the journey. The messy, frustrating, often painful journey. The problems never go away, they just evolve. You see, life is fundamentally made up of problems. And the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the problems you're willing to solve. When you think about it, everything meaningful you've ever done involved struggle. Learning a new skill, frustrating at first, building a relationship, challenging and emotionally exhausting, starting a business, a chaotic, uncertain mess. Even chasing your passion requires work, setbacks, and emotional vulnerability. And yet, those struggles often bring you the most pride, joy, and fulfillment. Why? Because it's not the absence of pain that makes life sweet, it's the presence of meaning. Happiness is not about eliminating suffering, it's about giving a fuck about the right things. And when you care deeply about something that matters to you, the struggle becomes worthwhile. The pain becomes part of the purpose. And that's the secret nobody tells you. You get to choose your problems. That's the real power. You don't escape suffering. You just get better at handling it. You get to decide whether your suffering leads to growth or emptiness, whether your pain moves you forward or breaks you down. But you've been conditioned to run from pain. You've been taught that feeling sad, anxious, uncertain, or overwhelmed means something is wrong with you, that you're broken, that you need to be fixed. So what do? You distract yourself. You scroll endlessly. You buy things you don't need. You chase status, approval, likes, and dopamine. You avoid the discomfort of being with yourself. But that avoidance is what creates the real suffering. The truth is, your emotions are not enemies. They are feedback mechanisms. When you feel angry, disappointed, or lost, it's your mind and body telling you something is off. Maybe your expectations are unrealistic. Maybe your values are out of sync. Maybe you're giving too many fucks about things that don't deserve your energy. But instead of facing that truth, you run. And the longer you run, the worse it gets. So let's stop pretending that happiness is a constant state you can maintain. It's not. It comes and goes. It's fleeting. And that's okay. In fact, that's what makes it beautiful. It's the result of engagement, of presence, of action. Not the goal of them. The more you chase happiness directly, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you pursue meaning, when you engage with the problems that challenge you and reflect your values, happiness sneaks in through the back door. You don't need to eliminate pain to be happy. You need to find better pain. You don't need to avoid problems. You need to upgrade them. You don't need to be constantly fulfilled. You need to be real with yourself about what's worth sacrificing for. And so, happiness is a problem, one you will always have, one you must learn to manage, shape, and redefine over time. It's not about smiling through life. It's about confronting it head on. It's about waking up and asking, what problems am I excited to tackle today? Not how can I avoid discomfort, but what discomfort am I willing to embrace? Because in the end, the people who live the most satisfying lives aren't the ones who avoid problems. They're the ones who choose the right problems, face them, work with them, and in doing so, build something they actually care about. That's where happiness lives. Not in the fantasy, not in the dream, but in the struggle itself. Chapter 3, You Are Not Special. Let me start by saying something that might feel uncomfortable, even shocking. You are not special. I don't say this to tear you down, belittle you, or destroy your confidence. I say it because it is one of the most freeing truths you can accept, and accepting it can change your entire perspective on life, happiness, and success. From the very beginning, the world has told you a story where you are the hero, the chosen one, the star of your own movie. Your family praised your achievements, teachers highlighted your talents, and society reinforced the idea that you are unique and exceptional. Social media amplified it further, showing perfect snapshots of people who seem to live extraordinary lives. Motivational speakers, pop culture, and even some education systems echo this message. You're special, you deserve greatness, and the universe owes you good things. This narrative is seductive. It feels good to believe that you are one of a kind, that the world is waiting for you to shine. But this story comes with a dangerous side effect. It creates unrealistic expectations and a fragile ego that can't handle failure, rejection, or discomfort. It feeds entitlement, a toxic belief that success and happiness should be handed to you just for existing without effort or sacrifice. The reality, however, is very different. You are not special. You are not entitled to anything just because you want it. The world does not revolve around you. You are one person among billions, someone with ordinary abilities, ordinary struggles, and ordinary flaws. Your pain isn't unique. Your talents are shared by millions. Your struggles are echoes of what countless others face every day. The truth is, nobody owes you a free pass or an easy ride. This realization might sting. It might feel harsh, but it's also deeply liberating. When you finally accept that you are not special, you release yourself from the burden of constant expectation and disappointment. You stop waiting for life to give you a break, and you start taking responsibility for your own actions and decisions. You stop blaming the world for your problems and begin asking, what can I do right now to improve my life? What can I control? Accepting your ordinariness grounds you in humility. It tears away the illusions of grandeur that keep you stuck in comparison, envy, and entitlement. You stop chasing empty dreams of fame, validation, and instant success. Instead, you focus on what matters: real work, real growth, and real meaning. You start understanding that greatness isn't reserved for special people. It belongs to those who commit to showing up every day, grinding through setbacks, learning from failure, and embracing the long, hard journey. The people who change the world or build remarkable lives don't believe they are entitled to it. They don't seek applause or validation. They simply do the work because it matters to them. This shift also helps you stop caring so much about what others think. You realize that most people are just as ordinary as you. Most people are as scared, uncertain, and imperfect as you. So why waste energy trying to impress or compete with them? Why live your life according to others' standards and expectations? When you accept that you are not special, you gain the freedom to define your own values and priorities. You begin to care only about what truly matters to you, not what looks good on social media or what others expect. You start choosing problems that align with your values, no longer distracted by the pressure to be extraordinary in the eyes of the world. This acceptance is also a powerful shield against failure and disappointment. When you don't expect special treatment or instant success, setbacks no longer crush you. They become part of the process, part of the ordinary struggle everyone faces. Failure loses its power to define you because you know it's just a stepping stone. In truth, the myth of specialness often leads to narcissism, entitlement, and a fragile self-worth that depends on external validation. It makes you vulnerable to anxiety and depression when life inevitably gets hard. But embracing your ordinariness builds resilience, grit, and authentic self-esteem, qualities that truly make a difference in your life. So this chapter is a wake-up call. It's a call to stop believing you're somehow exempt from the universal rules of life, struggle, and growth. It's a call to stop wasting time on fantasies of being extraordinary without effort. It's a call to embrace your ordinariness as a foundation, not a limitation. Because here's the paradox. When you stop pretending to be special, you open the door to genuine growth and fulfillment. You stop chasing illusions and start creating a life worth living. You realize that the power to shape your future lies not in being special, but in being real, responsible, and relentless. You are not special, and in that truth lies your real power. Chapter 4, The Value of Suffering. Suffering is an unavoidable part of life. No matter how much you wish otherwise, pain, disappointment, failure, and hardship will cross your path time and again. From the moment you are born until your last breath, suffering is woven into the fabric of existence. It is universal, impartial, and inevitable. Yet most people spend their lives trying to avoid it, to numb it, or to pretend it doesn't exist. Society, culture, and even the self help industry often push the idea that a good life is one free of pain, struggle, and discomfort. They tell you to pursue pleasure, comfort, and happiness at all costs, to dodge anything that hurts or challenges you. But here is a radical truth you must understand if you want to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. Suffering is not meaningless. In fact, suffering has profound value. It is the very thing that shapes your character, builds your resilience, and creates your capacity for growth, love, and joy. Without suffering, life would be shallow, fragile, and empty. When you accept this, your entire perspective shifts. Instead of fearing or resenting pain, you begin to see it as an essential teacher and companion on your journey. You recognize that suffering is not the enemy. Rather, it is the process through which you become stronger, wiser, and more alive. Think about the times in your life when you experienced real growth, learning a new skill, overcoming a personal challenge, or healing from a loss. In each of those moments, suffering was present. It was discomfort, frustration, heartbreak, or failure. But through enduring those hardships, you gained insight, strength, and confidence. You became someone new. This is the paradox of suffering. It is painful in the moment, but it produces long-term benefits that pleasure and comfort alone never can. Everyone suffers, but not everyone suffers well or for the right reasons. The key difference lies in the choice you make about what you will suffer for. You cannot avoid pain, but you can choose the problems you want to carry. You can choose to suffer for growth, for love, for integrity, or for a purpose greater than yourself. Or you can choose to suffer for meaningless distractions, that shallow pursuits, or avoidance. Choosing your suffering means embracing responsibility for your life. It means deciding what is worth your time, effort, and sacrifice. It means accepting that meaningful goals come with pain, setbacks, and hard work. It means being willing to face discomfort today so that you can build a better tomorrow. This mindset also changes how you respond to adversity. Instead of seeing setbacks as punishments or failures, you see them as necessary parts of your story, crucibles where your strength and character are forged. You become resilient because you no longer waste energy fighting what cannot be changed. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your attitude, your choices, and your actions. Suffering teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not invincible and that life is fragile. It fosters empathy by connecting you to the struggles of others. It strips away illusions and forces you to confront reality honestly. Without suffering, you might never fully appreciate joy, peace, or love. Most importantly, suffering clarifies what matters. When life is easy and painless, it is tempting to be distracted, superficial, and restless. But pain focuses your attention on what is truly valuable. It asks hard questions. What do you stand for? What are you willing to fight for? Who do you want to become? Happiness, then, is not the absence of suffering. True happiness is the ability to find meaning through suffering. It is the peace that comes from knowing you are living authentically, pursuing worthy goals, and growing as a person, even when it's hard. It is the courage to face life's challenges head on, without denial or avoidance. So stop running from pain. Stop trying to live a life of ease and comfort at all costs. Accept that suffering is part of the human experience and that it carries the seeds of growth and transformation. Choose your suffering wisely. Pick problems worth solving, values worth defending, and goals worth pursuing, even if they bring hardship. When you do this, you discover the secret to resilience, fulfillment, and a truly rich life. In the end, suffering is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher and your truest friend. Embrace it and watch how it changes everything. Chapter 5. You're always choosing, one of the most profound truths that can transform your life, yet one many people resist or fail to fully grasp, is that you are always choosing. This is a fundamental reality that underlies every moment of your existence. No matter what happens, no matter how trapped or powerless you feel, the ultimate freedom you have is to choose how you respond. Every second, every breath, every action you take or don't take is a choice. Sometimes it feels like life is happening to you, but the truth is that you are an active participant shaping your experience through your choices, even if those choices are as subtle as how you think about a situation or what meaning you give it. This chapter invites you to take full ownership of this freedom and responsibility. It asks you to wake up to the fact that while you cannot control every external event, you have complete control over your internal world, your thoughts, feelings, values, and actions. You can decide what matters to you, how you interpret your circumstances, and what kind of person you want to be in the face of whatever life throws at you. Blaming others, external circumstances, or bad luck for your unhappiness or failures is a tempting but ultimately disempowering habit. It feels easier to say, if only this were different, then I'd be happy, or I can't help how I feel because of what happened to me. But these narratives make you a passive victim and strip you of your power. They keep you stuck in resentment, frustration, or helplessness. The liberating truth is that while you may not choose your circumstances, you always choose your response. Uh, you decide where to focus your attention, which problems to invest in, which values to live by, and how to act on them. Your life is the sum total of these countless choices, and those choices shape your identity, your happiness, and your destiny. Recognizing this truth means accepting that there are trade offs with every choice you make. Saying yes to one thing means saying no to something else. Choosing to care deeply about certain values, goals, or relationships means you must neglect others. Life is a constant process of prioritizing, selecting, and letting go. This responsibility to choose also means accepting ownership for your life. No more blaming or making excuses. Your successes and failures, your joys and sufferings are products of your decisions. This can be daunting, but it is also immensely empowering. When you stop blaming external factors, you reclaim your power to change your life. This freedom of choice extends to how you deal with problems and suffering. Life is full of challenges, but you get to decide which problems deserve your energy and commitment. You choose which struggles are worth enduring and which are distractions or dead ends. By consciously choosing your problems, you shape your character and build resilience. When you accept that you are always choosing, you stop being a passive observer and become an active creator of your life story. This means cultivating awareness of your daily decisions, from the smallest habits to the biggest life directions. It means reflecting on your values regularly and making sure your choices align with what truly matters to you. No matter your circumstances, whether you face hardship, loss, or success, you have the power to choose your attitude, your focus, and your actions. You can choose courage over fear, growth over comfort, meaning over convenience. In the end, this freedom to choose is the essence of what it means to be human. It is the foundation of authenticity, responsibility, and true happiness. So embrace it fully. Own your choices, big and small, and live your life intentionally with purpose and with courage. You are never stuck. You are never helpless. You are always choosing. Chapter 6: You're wrong about everything, but so am I. One of the most difficult and humbling truths you will ever have to accept is that you are wrong about almost everything. The beliefs you hold, the judgments you make, the assumptions you base your life on, none of them are as certain or accurate as you might like to believe. This isn't a failure or a flaw unique to you. It is simply the human condition. Everyone carries biases, blind spots, and errors in thinking that shape their worldview in imperfect ways. Your knowledge is always partial, your understanding incomplete, and your perspective limited. This realization can be deeply uncomfortable. You naturally crave certainty and security. You want to feel like you know the truth, like your ideas are valid and reliable. But clinging too tightly to your beliefs leads to rigidity, defensiveness, and closed-mindedness. It blinds you to new evidence, fresh perspectives, and opportunities for growth. It creates division and conflict as you struggle to defend your rightness and reject anything that challenges your worldview. Yet, here's the liberating insight that can shift everything. Everyone is wrong about something, including me. Nobody has all the answers or a perfect grasp on reality. Mistakes, misunderstandings, and misjudgments are universal. This shared fallibility connects us all in our human experience and invites humility, empathy, and openness. Accepting that you are wrong is the gateway to genuine learning and transformation. It frees you from the trap of needing to be right at all costs. When you recognize your errors and question your assumptions, you open yourself to new knowledge and deeper wisdom. You become curious rather than defensive. You begin to listen more closely to others instead of dismissing their views out of hand. This mindset doesn't mean abandoning your values or convictions, but rather holding them lightly, knowing that growth often requires revising or even discarding old beliefs. Admitting you are wrong also means embracing uncertainty and complexity. Life is rarely black and white, and there are no simple one-size-fits-all answers to the problems you face. The world is messy, unpredictable, and constantly changing. Recognizing this uncertainty relieves the pressure to have everything figured out. It invites a stance of exploration, experimentation, and humility. This humility is not a weakness, it is a profound strength. It takes courage to admit your mistakes, to say, I don't know, and to learn from failure. Owning your fallibility builds authenticity and deeper relationships because it reveals your vulnerability and humanity. It allows you to connect with others beyond superficial appearances or posturing. Practicing the acceptance of being wrong challenges your ego's need for control and superiority. It helps dissolve the rigid narratives that keep you stuck in limiting beliefs or destructive patterns. This openness enables you to grow intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. To truly embrace this idea, start by noticing when you become defensive or certain about your opinions. Ask yourself what evidence might disprove your beliefs. Seek out perspectives that differ from your own, especially those that challenge your assumptions. Cultivate curiosity about your blind spots and biases. Remember that changing your mind is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. By accepting that you are wrong about almost everything, you liberate yourself from arrogance, fear, and stagnation. You open the door to continuous growth, deeper understanding, and more meaningful connections with others. This humility creates a foundation for true freedom, the freedom to learn, evolve, and live with greater authenticity. And remember, I'm wrong too, just like you. That's the beauty of being human. We're all on this imperfect, messy, and wonderful journey together, learning as we go. Embrace your wrongness, and you'll discover a path to wisdom and peace that no certainty can provide. Chapter 7: Failure is the way forward. Failure is not the enemy you've been conditioned to fear. From a young age, society, schools, and even well-meaning people teach you that failure is shameful, a sign that you're weak, incompetent, or not good enough. This message seeps into your mind, making you afraid to take risks or try new things. You begin to equate failure with personal worth, so the idea of failing feels unbearable. But this mindset only holds you back, trapping you in a cycle of fear, avoidance, and stagnation. The harsh but liberating truth is that failure is the way forward. It is the path through which you grow stronger, wiser, and ultimately successful. Failure is unavoidable. No matter how skilled, talented, or prepared you are, you will fail. Life is unpredictable and complex, and setbacks are part of the journey. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is not an absence of failure, but how they respond to it. Failure pushes you out of your comfort zone, forcing you to confront your limitations and mistakes. It demands that you examine your assumptions, rethink your strategies, and develop new skills. Without failure, there can be no progress. Sticking only to what you already know keeps you stuck in the same patterns, unable to evolve. Think about the people you admire, the innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders. Almost all of them have a long history of failure behind their success. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This kind of persistence and reframing of failure as feedback, not defeat, allowed him to keep moving forward. Similarly, successful athletes, writers, and business people all have stories filled with failures, rejections, and setbacks that shape their eventual triumphs. When you start seeing failure as a necessary step, your relationship to it changes. Instead of shrinking away from mistakes, you learn to welcome them as valuable lessons. Each failure teaches you something crucial about yourself, your approach, or your goals. This mindset shift is vital because it frees you from the paralysis of fear. You become willing to take risks, innovate, and pursue your passions boldly, knowing that setbacks are just part of the process. It's important to separate failure from your identity. Failing at a task or goal doesn't mean you are broken or incapable. It simply means you are human and you are trying. What matters most is your response to failure. Do you give up and let it define you? Or do you analyze what went wrong, learn from it, and keep pushing forward? Those who achieve great things are not those who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to be defeated by failure. Failure also cultivates humility. It strips away arrogance and forces you to accept that you don't have all the answers. This humility opens you up to new perspectives and deeper self awareness, enabling continuous growth. Moreover, failure builds resilience, the mental toughness that helps you bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward in spite of difficulties. Without encountering failure and learning to recover, resilience cannot develop. It's a muscle you strengthen every time you face hardship and choose not to quit. You also learn to distinguish between meaningful failure and needless suffering. Some failures are opportunities for growth, while others signal when it's time to change direction or let go. Recognizing this difference helps you make wiser choices and invest your energy where it truly matters. To truly embrace failure as the way forward, you must change how you talk to yourself about it. Stop calling yourself a failure and start calling your experience a learning opportunity. Reflect honestly on what went wrong, but don't dwell on blame or regret. Instead, use failure as a compass to guide your next steps. In the end, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a vital part of it. It is the forge that tempers your character, sharpens your skills, and reveals what you truly value. By accepting failure, you free yourself from fear, cultivate resilience and wisdom, and open the door to a richer, more authentic life lived on your own terms. So don't run from failure. Face it, learn from it, and let it push you forward. Failure is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher and the true way forward. Chapter 8: The Importance of Saying No. One of the most powerful and liberating skills you can develop in life is the ability to say no. And yet, for many people, it is one of the hardest words to speak. From an early age, you might have been taught to be polite, helpful, and accommodating. You may fear that saying no will lead to rejection, conflict, or disappointing others. You may believe that always saying yes will make you more likable, successful, or loved. But this mindset often backfires. When you say yes to too many things, you spread yourself too thin, lose control over your time and energy, and end up overwhelmed, stressed, and resentful. The truth is that learning to say no is not just about refusing requests. It's about protecting your life, your boundaries, and your values, so you can focus your time and energy on what truly matters. Saying no is an act of self-respect and clarity. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus and energy. You end up juggling too many obligations, commitments, and distractions, leaving little room for what is truly important to you. Your priorities get buried under a mountain of shoulds and other people's demands. This leads to exhaustion, burnout, and a feeling that life is out of your control. But when you say no, you draw clear boundaries around your time and energy. You protect your ability to focus deeply on your goals, relationships, and passions. Saying no means you are choosing to live intentionally, deciding what deserves your attention and what does not. You might worry that saying no will make others dislike you or view you as selfish. This fear is common but often exaggerated. People respect those who are honest and clear about their limits. Saying no with kindness and confidence shows you value yourself and your time. It also prevents the buildup of resentment that happens when you agree to things unwillingly. By setting boundaries, you create healthier relationships based on honesty and mutual respect. Saying no can also encourage others to step up and respect your time rather than take it for granted. Learning to say no takes practice, courage, and sometimes discomfort. Saying no can feel awkward, especially if you are used to pleasing others or avoiding conflict. You may feel guilt, worry about hurting feelings, or fear missing out on opportunities. But this discomfort is temporary, and the benefits are long-lasting. Each time you say no, you gain more control over your life and reduce stress. You free yourself from distractions and obligations that don't align with your goals. This freedom lets you invest deeply in the things that truly matter. It's important to realize that every no is a yes to something else. Every time you decline an invitation, turn down a task, or refuse a favor that doesn't serve your priorities, you create space for your own growth, rest, creativity, and meaningful work. Saying no helps you focus on your purpose and live a more authentic, fulfilled life. Saying no is also a radical act of freedom in today's world of endless demands and distractions. Social media, work, family, and friends all compete for your attention. Without firm boundaries, you risk losing yourself in the chaos. Saying no is a way to reclaim your time, your energy, and your identity. It empowers you to live deliberately rather than reactively. To cultivate the power of no, start small. Practice saying no in low stakes situations to build confidence. Use simple, direct language like, I can't commit to that right now, or thank you, but I have to decline. You don't owe long explanations or apologies. Be clear and respectful. Over time, saying no will feel more natural and easier. Remember, your time and attention are your most precious resources. Protect them fiercely. Saying no is not rude or selfish, it is necessary for your well being, growth, and happiness. By learning to say no, you open the door to a life lived on your own terms, focused, intentional, and true to yourself. Embrace the power of no and watch how it transforms your relationships, your productivity, and your peace of mind. Saying no is not just about rejection, it's about acceptance. Acceptance of your limits, your values, and your right to live a meaningful life. Chapter 9. And then you die. Death is the one absolute truth that no one can escape. No matter your age, wealth, status, or beliefs, it will come for you. Yet, most people spend their lives avoiding this reality, pretending it's far away or thinking it only happens to others. This denial is understandable because death is uncomfortable, frightening, and final. But refusing to face death does not make it any less real or any less significant. In fact, embracing the reality of your mortality is one of the most important steps toward living a meaningful, authentic, and fulfilling life. You might spend your days caught up in routines, distractions, and endless pursuits, work, possessions, social media, entertainment, approval from others. These things can create the illusion that life will go on forever and that you will always have time to get to the important stuff later. But this illusion is just that, an illusion. Life is finite and unpredictable, and every day that passes is a day closer to your eventual end. When you fully grasp that your time is limited, it changes everything. Accepting death brings clarity. It forces you to look honestly at how you are spending your time and energy. Are you investing them in what truly matters to you? Or are you chasing shallow goals that bring momentary pleasure, but no lasting fulfillment? Death can be a harsh mirror that reveals the truth behind your choices and priorities. When you hold the inevitability of death in your mind, you are motivated to live with more purpose and intention, not postponing your happiness or growth for some vague future. This awareness also instills humility. No matter your accomplishments, possessions, or power, death reminds you that you are part of a greater whole and that your time here is just a brief moment. This humility helps you let go of ego driven pursuits, entitlement, and the illusion of control. It encourages you to appreciate life's fragile beauty and to treat others with kindness and respect. Confronting death also invites you to ask profound questions. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? How do you want to be remembered by the people who know you? What impact do you want to make on the world, no matter how big or small? These questions push you to move beyond superficial concerns and focus on creating a life of meaning and contribution. Accepting death means taking responsibility for your life. Since your days are numbered, you can no longer afford to live according to others' expectations or societal pressures. You must choose your own path, be honest about what you want, and commit to living authentically. This can be scary because it requires courage to face uncertainty and to embrace your true self. But it is also liberating because it frees you from living a life that isn't yours. Death also encourages vulnerability. When you acknowledge that your time is limited, you stop hiding behind facades and stop chasing impossible standards of perfection. You become more willing to show your true self with all your flaws and fears. This authenticity deepens your connections with others and enriches your experience of life. Moreover, death is a great teacher of gratitude. Knowing that your time is limited makes you more aware of the preciousness of everyday moments, sunrises, laughter, love, even struggles. You learn to appreciate what you have rather than constantly striving for more. Facing death does not mean living in fear or despair. Instead, it means living with urgency, awareness, and boldness. It means waking up each day ready to make the most of your limited time. It means valuing quality over quantity, depth over distraction, and purpose over approval. So don't run from the reality of death. Embrace it as a powerful guide that can shape how you live. Let the knowledge of your mortality inspire you to shed what doesn't matter, to pursue what does, and to live a life filled with courage, meaning, and authenticity. Because it is only by acknowledging that and then you die that you can truly learn to live.